Welcome to Central Missouri Alumni Stories. I'm your host, Corey Bittner. Today's special guest is Amanda Fischer-Penner. Amanda is the marketing manager with the Miller Group right here in Kansas City, Missouri, and I'm looking forward to our conversation. All right, Amanda, thank you. Thanks for being here today. How are you doing?
I'm well. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you. We're just, hanging in there, kind of taking it day by day still kind of has the Groundhog Day feel to the world around us, but I think it's starting to get more normal each passing day, which is a positive. So you and your family, everyone's holding up okay?
Yes, we've been doing really well, staying healthy, getting outside in the sun.
Good.
It's always nice to get outside. So yeah, we're doing well. Thank you for asking.
Of course. Good. I'm glad to hear that that's the case. And I know we're going to get into this, but just as a quick aside or question I have for you, because you mentioned this to me before we started recording today, what your role with the Miller Group, you started June of last year. What did it look like and how has it been basically transitioning into a new role in the midst of the pandemic?
Yeah, well, it was somewhat of a natural transition because since I left in the middle of COVID, I had already been 100% remote at my previous job at the Hickman Mill School District. So when I started here, it was also 100% remote. So it was easy transition. It's a very supportive, friendly environment. So everyone's saying, oh, this must be hard, or I'm sorry, you can't come in the office. And it was fine for me. You get to know people through Zoom and virtually. So they set up a really good onboarding system where you meet with people all around the office.
That's a good idea.
So that was done virtually. They call it a new associate, like a scavenger hunt. And cool. So it was the best way to get adapted into the company.
And that's
great.
Like a fun, soft, easy way to make the introductions, get to know people, learn what you need to know. At least right out of the gate. So good. Yeah. Good. So we're going to come back to obviously what you're doing with the Miller Group, but I want to kind of take a step back in time first. What obviously I know with you being a fellow UCM grad, before UCM, where did you grow up? In the Kansas City area or elsewhere?
I actually grew up in Sedalia, Missouri, home of the State Fair. So I was born and raised there, graduated from Smith-Kotzen High School. Okay. And then I did go to State Fair in Sedalia for a semester, maybe 2 semesters. And then I knew I wasn't going to stay there for the full 2 years. So my mom encouraged me to just go ahead and transfer to a university.
Well, good advice, Mom. I'm glad that, and I'm glad UCM was the choice. Why UCM?
The key reason was because they had my specific degree. I wanted public relations. I had known since I was a freshman in high school that's what I wanted to do. Yes, yeah. Okay. I learned about it in a magazine and I just knew that was what I wanted to do. The creative side and I love the idea of thinking about perspectives and how people view a company, and how your actions affect that. So I knew that's what I wanted. And they offered that specific degree, and a lot of other universities did not. Like even the big state universities did not have a specific public relations degree. It was going to have to be hospitality. And so it was an easy choice, really.
Good for you. I admire the fact that, you knew that at such a young age and then went to school, studied it, and, have had, I know dabbled some and you worked in PR and marketing now, obviously to some extent, but obviously, you've put that to use. So your freshman high school intuition was correct.
Yes, very much so.
Which is good. I'm glad that my freshman high school intuition was wrong about a lot of things. It's probably ended up being a better for the course of my life. But anyhow, so you went off to UCM after a semester or 2 at State Fair. You were studying PR. Tell me what your UCM experience, more broadly speaking, was like in terms of, and we can kind of drill down if it's the PR program, the education, the social life, et cetera. Just when you look back and think about your college experience, your undergraduate experience, what was that like?
Yes. Well, I like to say that college was the best time of my life. Some people say high school, and I have I have a family that I love now, but
Yep. I know what you mean.
Okay, thank you.
I can empathize. Yep.
Yes. So, but yeah, in college, you just get to find who you are and you're more independent and the social aspect. So I think of two things, the social aspect, but then also the academics, because I love learning. So I enjoyed the classes. I enjoyed studying and then being successful in the courses. That meant a lot to me. And then the extracurriculars. So I was part of the Mule Skinner. And
Yep.
then extracurricular was also the social part. So I joined a co-ed honor fraternity because I knew a sorority wasn't that I had no interest in a sorority.
Wasn't your thing? Yeah.
Not my thing. And so when I learned about Phi Sigma Pi, I loved that it was co-ed and I loved that it was honors. And that really probably made my college experience because of all the opportunities that it presented, both in ways to get involved and events that we did, building lifelong relationships, all that good stuff.
Very cool. What was your favorite part of, being part of the business honors fraternity?
Probably other than gaining friends, we had a yearly event that was formal, like all the sororities and fraternities. We had a formal every year, and it was just a blast. Dressing up and dancing and having fun. It was, lifetime memories.
I bet. Yep. I remember the formals well from college, and they were always a lot of fun.
Yes.
Now, as far as the academic piece and studying PR, tell me tell me how you felt about your education with PR and, what some of your favorite parts of the program were.
My favorite part of the academic piece was the teachers, the professors in the communication department, because it's different now.
Yep.
The way it's set up. But so I used to be in the communication area, and the teachers, Dr. Barbara Baker and Dr. Shauna Troff and Wendy Geiger, they all really had a passion for what they were teaching, and that came through. And then, I could latch onto their passion and their perspectives, and they just taught so much about the world of communication, and just how the world works really in regards to media coverage and, adapting to your audiences and, all the different perspectives that people can hold. One of my classes, this is jumping into master's, but I learned a lot in international communication. I learned about the value of, you can't, if you're arguing with another country per se, or another person, you were learning about international communication, but it was really communication and life as a whole. If you're not getting along with another country or another person, then you can't move that relationship in a more positive path without talking. So, there are little bits that it's academic piece, but you can apply it to so much in your life.
Yes.
If that makes sense.
It does. I mean, it absolutely does, because what I'm hearing you say, and what I totally agree with, is that, in any relationship, be it one with a coworker, with a friend, with a romantic partner, with a spouse, whatever, communication is key.
Yes.
Without communication, it will all break down.
Yes. And if you hear about, oftentimes, jumping now into the corporate world, when, communication is always so high on employee either dissatisfaction or satisfaction, communication is embedded into everything.
Yes, absolutely. And again, to your point, as far as the dissatisfaction part, right? People just don't want to be left in the dark. And it's one of those things, from my experience, it's like, what, if somebody has news to deliver to me and it's bad news, that's okay. I would still rather them do that than just leave me in the dark.
Now, if all CEOs and business leaders.
If everybody operated that way.
Transparency.
Well, yes, we still have our work cut out for us in that regard, but I agree with you. That would be a positive for humankind, for that matter. But okay, good. So what was your first job out of college?
My first real job was a graphic designer at a newspaper in the middle of Nebraska,
Okay.
Lexington, Nebraska, at the Lexington Clipper Herald.
Okay. And how long were you there?
Oh, that's a good question.
Roughly, it's fine.
I want to say 3 or 4 years.
Okay.
And
How'd you like
then
Nebraska?
How did I like Nebraska? I like being in the small town because you get to know everybody, but then it's also easier to make a name for yourself and get a little bit more ingrained into the community. So I had opportunities in Lexington that would be harder for me here in the big city, if you will. Like I was set, when I left, I was vice president of the Chamber of Commerce, was going to be president of the Chamber of Commerce, where, probably is not going to happen here in Kansas City.
You never know, but I hear point taken. But at the same time, and because I do agree with you there, but one thing that I've always thought is, because I didn't grow up in Kansas City, and one thing that I've always thought is neat about it, and I heard someone describe it this way, and it made a lot of sense to me, though, is despite the fact that Kansas City is, a larger city and, like metropolitan area, there's, a couple million people, large area, obviously lots of, businesses, there's a lot going on in the community, but Kansas City, to me, as, an outsider that's lived here now for 10 plus years, it feels like it is a big city, but the people here kind of think of it as a town, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, that totally makes sense.
And I think that's why everybody here has so much passion for the city and living here and loves it.
Yeah, because it's big enough that you can not know everybody and not everybody knows your business, but at the same time, you can go to a Royals game and see multiple people that you know.
Yes, exactly. That is exactly right. So now, okay, so you were with the newspaper in Lexington, in Nebraska. Obviously, you're with the Miller Group now, and I want to touch on that just in a moment here, but tell me about the journey from your first job with the newspaper to the Miller Group. I mean, what were you, where were you, and what were you doing in between?
How did that road go? So I was at the newspaper, and obviously I liked my job because of the creative side, but I wanted to get back into public relations, ideally like a leadership role. And the hospital didn't have a dedicated marketing person there in town. And somebody told me, I don't remember who, somebody told me the hospital could really use a marketing person, but it's going to take a change at the top. And so that change, that was on my mind for probably a year or so. And when a new CEO came in, I went to my contact at the hospital and I proposed the idea of, hey, I think you need a marketing person. I'm really interested in it. And they said that was actually in their plan. So a few weeks later, I was hired as the marketing director. I eventually became the director of public relations and marketing. I was there for, I think, 4 years at a really integral time because they were rapidly expanding. There was some community situations that we had to make sure we maintained trust, and a lot of growth, a lot of really high patient satisfaction, just so many opportunities. We even did a complete renaming and rebranding.
Okay.
So a lot of great experiences there. It was my dream job, really. But then we had a baby, my husband, David, and I, and we don't have any family out there. Our nearest family was 6 hours away. So we knew once we had kids, it would be time to move back to the Missouri, Kansas City. So then we headed back to Kansas City, and I got a job as the public information specialist with the Hickman Mills School District. I was there for 6 years and learned a lot. A school district, there is every day is 100%,
I can imagine.
Yes. A lot of event planning, a lot of communications, and just changes that require that transparency that we talked about, maintaining trust in the community and with parents, teachers. So communication is definitely, that was a key role as well. And it was just time. I was ready for kind of a different change of pace.
Sure.
And so I was, I don't just apply for any jobs. It has to be the right fit. And when I came across the Miller Group, I was intrigued by the position. So I applied. And then the more I learned about the company, the more interested I was, because I learned that they're a top place to work, a healthiest places to work. Sean Miller, the CEO, is philanthropist business person of the year a couple years ago, and just very caring, very family oriented, successful with a great reputation. And so I knew it was the right fit for me. And so I
Yes.
understood why it maybe took a little longer than I would have wanted to, because this was the right fit.
Yes. Yep. Sometimes things just have to play out the way they're going to. So,
Yes,
and you've
yeah.
got to give them time to do that. Now,
Yes.
within your role now, so the Miller Group, I know, is a insurance brokerage firm, right? And provides all different types of business and insurance lines to businesses, their families, individuals, et cetera. As the marketing manager, tell me what generally speaking, what the day-to-day looks like for you, and what's involved in being the marketing manager at an organization like the Miller Group.
Yeah. Well, it's my colleague and I, Gabrielle, she's my fellow marketing manager. Gabrielle and I work a lot on open enrollment brochures and websites, for companies. But then a bigger part of our role is kind of helping our sales and creating sales force, making sure there's a strong, our brand is really strong and there's public awareness of what we do, and the strong reputation that we have. And so my day-to-day, like right now, I have this huge list of projects that I need to work on, every day. So the bigger things are, we've started to do webinars. So we have a webinar coming up. The goal is to do those once a quarter. Those are going really well. So that's exciting. And then, working on case studies or direct mail campaigns. We're starting to get more into video. And as you know, video takes a lot of work. Yep. So, just trying to make sure that our name stays out there. We've expanded to Colorado. So working with our new advisor out in Colorado. But every day is a little different. There's lots of opportunities to, I'm not just doing one thing every day.
Yes.
I get to do multiple things.
What is your favorite part of the job? With that being said, knowing that you're obviously doing a lot, well, what's your favorite part?
Yeah. It's hard for me to pick because I really do like so much about what I do. I do like event planning. So the webinars are fun. It's more fun, of course, because they've been successful. Like our culture, we did a webinar over cultures and we had, I think, like 240 people register.
Oh, wow.
And 160 came. So that's above industry average. So, that one was
pretty good.
That was a good one. So that one's really fun. But I love designing the pieces, like the promotional pieces, and just getting to think strategically and be creative about how to approach campaigns and new projects.
Cool. Good. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying it. And I know it's been obviously less than a year still, but
yes. Yeah.
Coming up on a year. And I'm glad, to hear thus far that it's been a great experience for you. And I'll ask you this question, or maybe it's more of a statement and partially a question, but I'll share this with you. And, for those at home that are watching or listening to the show here today, there's been some other PR grads from UCM, and myself included, also being a PR grad, that have been involved or have come on the show before. And what I feel like is a recurring theme is that the education that PR students received at UCM has been, paramount to some of the success they've had in their careers, and that they felt as if they were truly prepared by their education for an actual job in the real world, working in that field. And I would imagine that it sounds like you said, working at the Miller Group now, you're doing this stuff that you studied, the stuff that, high school Amanda knew that she wanted to do, which is pretty cool.
like I've mentioned, so much of marketing and public relations is thinking about the different perspectives that people have. So I'm going to put this message out here. I'm going to make this new logo, and this is our new slogan. How is that going to be received by the wide variety of audiences that our company reaches out to?
Yep.
And so that was such a key part of my time at UCM. That's just a recurring theme through all my classes. But then the pieces about communication law and communication theory. Two of my more favorite classes were interviewing and surveys. I don't think a lot of people know how to make surveys. I was just telling somebody this the other day. I feel like one of my specialties is creating a survey because there's little caveats like double barrel questions or leading questions. Yes, there's a lot there that people don't realize. And so, my classes at UCM taught me those skills, both at a high level, but then at the very, specific skills that you need for the job.
That's awesome. And I'm glad to hear that that's been the case. So Amanda, I have to ask, if you went back and, thinking about your time at UCM, your career to this, basically the road that's gotten you here, if you could go back and do it all over again, what is one thing that, I guess I'm going to think about it two different ways, or almost maybe ask two different questions, but really just looking for one answer. If you could do it all over again, what would you do differently? Or said another way, what's something that you know now that you wish you would have known then?
The one thing, probably, I would say to not be afraid of networking, which people had told me that in the past. In college, you are told you're encouraged to join associations, right? But it's just weird when you're young, you don't know people, and even people our age now, professionals who've been doing this for years, networking.
I don't know how to do it.
Yeah, or it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And so you don't want to do it because you just feel awkward. But I wish I hadn't waited so long, because that is really what gets you, not always, but a lot of time, that network is how you're going to get your next job, or the professional development that it offers, and the leadership roles that it offers. I'm a member of Kansas City International Association of Business Communicators, in short, KCIABC. And that's
KCIABC,
that's the one I decided to join. And there's so many opportunities to get involved and grow your skills that maybe you're for instance, joining the board. And so when you join the board, that requires a different set of skills that you might not get to be using at your job. So you're building skills at your job, but then you're also building another set of skills on the side. And that's what really makes you well-rounded and helps you advance in your career.
Yeah. And I think it also makes you more open-minded and a better communicator. And it just helps you, again, new experience, new and different experiences lead to new and different outcomes, right? If our experiences and our activities are all very familiar and similar, our outcomes are going to continue to be the same way.
Yeah, that's and learn. And when you try new things, you might make a mistake, but then you've made that mistake, so you know how to correct that in the future.
Exactly. I've always thought that, thoughtful mistakes are not bad, right? Yes. It's the mistakes if we repeat the same thing over and over, but thoughtful mistakes are good. They should almost be encouraged.
Yeah.
If you screw something up or make a mistake, it's because you were going out on a limb and trying something you hadn't done before, and no one should be punished for that. They should be praised, frankly. And then you can take that, add it to your repertoire, so you're that much more prepared for a similar challenge or experience in the future.
Yeah. I like that you call it a thoughtful mistake. One of my favorite sayings is it's to the effect of, like, a basketball analogy or term. You can't get the points if you don't take the shot.
Yes.
So
yeah, that's it, right? Exactly. You won't score if you don't shoot. Exactly. I like it. Okay, good. Well, thanks. Again, Amanda, I appreciate you sharing all of that. And I'm glad, things have gone well for you thus far at the Miller Group, and obviously wish you continued success and fulfillment in your role there. But I want to switch gears a little bit here, just for kind of the last part of the show, or the last segment of the show. It's designed to be the fun part of the show. So I originally was calling it the Mule Minute, and I had another alumni that suggested calling it the Jenny Jam if we have a female guest that joins. So
thank you. I appreciate that.
Yes, I like that too, the Jenny Jam. So what I'm going to do here is just rattle off some questions, and I'm just a myriad of different types of questions, but I'm just curious to hear what's your, kind of like a lightning round, right? What's the first answer off the top of your head? You think you can do it?
I'll try.
I think you can do it. I think you can do it. So I'll start with an easy one. What is your favorite destination to travel to?
Chicago.
No, that's good. I love Chicago too. What's your favorite way? What's your favorite way, or what's the best way for you to just relax or unwind?
Go to the lake. My parents have a cabin. I love to go to the lake and or anywhere where there's sound of water.
Very serene, right? I know exactly what you mean. Yes. Yes. Now here's a different question for you. If you could travel back in time to any period in human history, what period would you want to travel back to?
Oh, I am not a history person.
It's okay.
But I often think I'm living in the wrong times because I hate technology. And I don't
Sorry to do this on Zoom.
No, I love it and I hate it. But I oftentimes think maybe I should have been living in the 50s or the 60s.
It would be very interesting to have that type of experience in another era, but
yes,
that's good. What is one of the best or smartest career decisions that you feel like you've made?
Going to that job at the hospital, taking a chance and going and saying, hey, this is a job that I would be interested in. And that really, I feel like, was the best decision I could have ever made.
Yeah, that's really good, because I heard when you talked about that earlier, I mean, it sounded to me like if a contact hadn't planted that seed in your head that, when there's new leadership, had you not reached out and contacted them, that probably never would have materialized. And who knows where you'd be and what you'd be doing now.
Exactly. Yeah.
Good. Okay. So here's a fun one for you. So retirement day one, your first day of retirement, what are you doing? How are you spending your time?
Going on a hike or a walk, getting out of the house and enjoying, hopefully it'll be nice outside, enjoying the sunshine and the weather.
Yep. And the technology is take the iPhone and throw it in the lake, right?
Yes, I do have a smartwatch though.
There you go. And that's waterproof. Okay, good. If you could try any one profession other than, marketing manager, PR, marketing, however you want to look at it, if you could try a profession completely different than your own, what would it be?
I would do construction, like a house contractor. So you can fix up houses, and that is a skill that I think everybody should have, because I'm running into that now as I own a house. So I often think how it would be cool to build and do things with your hands.
Yeah, be a builder. I like that. Okay. You walk into an establishment and there's a karaoke machine and you have to sing one song. What's your go-to song?
I would probably sing Living in America by James Brown.
Okay. Oh, good choice.
That's my go-to karaoke song.
Nice. I like that. That's a really good choice. That is a really good choice.
Yes.
Okay. And then lastly, what is one piece of advice that you'd share with someone, whether it's, your personal motto, something you'd share with someone else, doesn't necessarily have to be a student or whomever. What's one piece of advice that you like to give or you think is important?
I would say I don't know how many people I've given this to, but it's the piece of advice that I've learned is just to remain calm, especially when there's a crisis going on. It's so easy to get overly anxious or excited and just, your heart race and you don't know what to do. But really, I feel like the best leaders I've seen just roll with the punches and, all right, we have this crisis, we're going to deal with it.
Yep, that's good. And it's almost like, we recognize that we're all human, right? And we all have emotions and there's nothing we can do about that. And a lot of times our emotions can be a good thing, but trying the best to, make clear-minded, thoughtful decisions without being totally overrun by emotion.
Which easily happens when
all the time. Every single day.
Yeah.
Yes. It happens to people every single day. They get stressed out, they get anxious, or we get overly excited or overly, it's like sometimes we can celebrate the victories too much, and we can, wallow in despair too much when, when things go wrong, but almost remaining net neutral for the lack of a better term, or just being present and being there. So,
yes.
Well, good. Well, thank you. That's the last question I had for you. You nailed it. I think you did a good job. So thank you for participating in that. And, I do think that's about all of the time that we have here today. But Amanda, first and foremost, thank you again for taking the time. And I love to hear the stories from, all the different alumni from UCM, CMSU, whatever the name of the university was when they graduated, what they studied, why they studied what they did, the wonderful connections that they made in college, and how it prepared them for their careers and put them in the position that they're in today. So I appreciate you taking the time to share your story, and appreciate you being here on the show today. And for all of those, for those of you at home, again, watching or listening, make sure that you are subscribed to Central Missouri Alumni Stories on YouTube, of course. That way you'll get alerts when new episodes are released. You can listen to the podcast wherever it is that you listen to your podcasts. And Central Missouri Alumni Stories now also has an Instagram page and has a Facebook page. So make sure that you like those pages on social media, and Twitter as well, I should say. And then I, of course, share these on LinkedIn. So, you can certainly find or connect with me on social media. You can just search my name, Corey Bittner, on Twitter and Instagram. Also, my handle is the same. It's at Corey Bittner KC. And Amanda, I know that our audience, if they wanted to try to connect with you, they can find you on LinkedIn. So,
oh yeah, definitely. Always reach out.
Well, good. Well, Amanda, again, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate you being here today, and I wish you all of the best.
Thank you. It was great to talk with you.
Yes, you too. Thanks again. And for those of you at home, continue to please stay safe and stay healthy. And we look forward to talking with you on the show here again soon.